Okay. Let me know when you are able to see my screen, right?
I can see it.
Okay. Right. So let's try out this question. Which of the following is solution to? Okay. Now we have, now let's say if you had this question in your SAT exam, 18 by 24. This is 3 times and 6 into 4 is 24. Okay. So we need to cancel out this and this, right? Because either the answer would be 3 by 4 or it could be 18 by 4, although it is not simplified, but still it could be. And then the next one is x to the 8 divided by x to the 3. So it would be subtraction of exponents and we'll have x to the 5. Okay. So yeah, this is cancelled and this is cancelled. So D would be the answer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So here we have another method. And हमने पहले भी एक डिस्कस किया था जिसमें I asked you के बॉड मास वाला आपको याद है? उसमें they had a different name or we are used to BOD mass. So yeah. So here again this is a method, इसको उन्होंने FOIL method कहा है, but it is just for multiplying two binomials. Okay, so we have 4x plus 2, 9x plus 8, and you need to multiply it. And how would you do that? Okay, so first pair of terms, we need to multiply 4 and 9. You don't need to remember such things because this is something that we are already familiar with, right? So we'll be multiplying this 4x with 9x and then we'll multiply it with 8. And then again, we'll multiply this 2 with 9x and this 2 with 8x, okay? So this would be 4x into 9x would be 36x square. 4x into 8 would be 32x. Then 2 into 9x would be 18x. And then 2 into 8 would be 16. Now we need to simplify this because these are the like terms. So we'll be left with 36x square plus 50x plus 16, right? This is how you do it. You don't need to, remember too many things. That okay, this is the FOIL method and this is the BODMAS method, right? So which of the following is the product of these two? Okay. Now again, this is something very, very simple, but from SAT point of view, we need to know some tips. Okay, so 7 in x into 5x is 35x square. Now we know that the term that would be with x squared, the coefficient of x square is 35. So this cannot be the answer. And then 3 into minus 2 would be minus 6. So yeah, the number would be minus 6, right? So this cannot be the answer. Right, now we need to see minus 14x plus 15x. Okay, x. This is the answer. Now, obviously, in this case, we had to multiply and we had to solve it completely. But in your exam, it could be that, we just check if what is the coefficient of x squared is 35 and what is the constant term, it's minus 6. And with these two things only, it could be that you are able to find the answer directly, right? Instead of multiplying it completely. So these tips are very important from exam point of view. Okay. Factoring. Factoring is the reverse of multiplication. When multiplying, you find the product of factors. When factoring, you find the factors of a product. right? Okay, so the definition is a bit complicated. But when we are multiplying, we'll multiply this 3 into 6 and 3 into y. So we'll have 3x and 3y. But then if we have 3x plus 3y and we need to factorize, so we'll take out the common term. In this case, it is 3 and we'll write down the rest as it is. Okay, so this is the difference in multiplication and factoring. Multiplication is the reverse of factoring. Okay, so these two are opposites or reverse operations, right? Okay, three basic types of factoring. Factoring out a common monomial. So we have 18x squared minus 9x, right? So this is the first type. Then we have second one and we have third one. We need to discuss all these three. So this is basically factoring out a common monomial. Okay, so in both of these, 9x is a common term, it's a monomial. So this is how you do it, right? So we'll take 9x common, we'll be left with 2x and 1. And this is how we factorize, right? This is the first type. And this is the general one. So we can take b common and we'll be left with a minus c. Okay? Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. Now we need factoring a quadratic trinomial using FOIL in reverse. Okay. Now this is a trinomial. We need to factorize it, right? And then we have another one. So let's do it directly. Now we know that 20, we need two numbers such that when we multiply them, we get 20x squared minus 20x squared. When we add subtract them, we get minus x. So we have x squared plus 4x minus 5x minus 20. X can be taken common. Sorry, it says this would be minus x and this would be minus 20x squared. If I take x common, I'll be left with x plus 4. And then if I take 5 common, I'll be left with x minus x plus 4. So yeah, here's a mistake here. We need to have x minus 5 and x plus 4. Right, this is wrong. This should have been 5. Okay, so here basically we had a trinomial and we need to factorize it. Okay, and this is how we factorize it. You know this method?
Always bad with them, but
Okay, so let's talk about this now. We have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Let's do it here. X squared minus 6x plus 9. We need two numbers such that when I add them, I get minus 6x, and when I multiply them, I get 9x squared. So the two numbers are 3x minus 3x plus 9. It's x minus 3 minus 3 right. So here we end up getting x minus 3 and x minus 3. So we can always write it down as x minus 3 square. Okay. So we are done with the first type, we are done with the second type, and now we need to discuss the third one. Factoring the difference between two perfect squares using this rule. So we know that a square and b square are two perfect squares, because if I find the under root of a square, I'll get a, right? So a square and b square are two perfect squares, so we'll get a plus b and a minus b. So let's say we have x squared minus 81. Step 1 is to know what is the square root of 81. It is 9. So 81 would be 9 square. Now we have two perfect squares. So I'll have x plus 9 and I'll have x minus 9, because we have a plus b and we have a minus b. Okay. Then we have x square minus 49. Again, we can do it the same way. X square minus 7 square. This is basically x plus 7, and this is x minus 7, right? Is it clear, Ishal? I cannot hear you.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So now we have a question. Which of the following expressions can be factored using the rule a square minus b square? Obviously, we need to, all of these are squares, right? We need to see which of these numbers is a perfect square. So 64 is basically 8 square. So D is the answer. Okay. Using common factors, with some polynomials, you can determine a common factor for each term. For example, 4x is a common factor of all three terms in the polynomial thus, okay, because it can divide evenly into each of them. To factor a polynomial with terms that have common factors, you can divide the polynomial by the known factor to determine the second factor. Okay, right. Now, basically, this is the example, right? What they're trying to say here is that, you can easily see that 4x is a common factor, right? 4x is being shared by each of these monomials. So you can take 4x common, and in this case, we can easily write down the remaining things: 4x cubed plus 2x plus 6. But otherwise, what you can do is, when you know that 4x is the common factor, you can divide this 4x by this expression to get this directly. This is what they are trying to say. Here things were very easy, but in future, if you are not being able to factorize something this way, you can divide it either through the long division method or simply by, subtracting the exponents, and you will be left with this expression, right? So this is how you factorize. Okay. In the binomial x 64x cubed plus 24x, 8x is the greatest common factor of both terms, right? Therefore, you can divide 64x cubed plus 24x by 8x to find the other factor. Now, one way is, like we know how to factorize it, but since we are studying in detail, we should know basically the underlying concept. And this is the underlying concept. You know that 8x is being shared by both these, so it is the greatest common factor. You can divide 8x by this expression and you'll get 8x squared plus 3. So this is the second factor, and 8x was the first factor. So you can write down this expression as product of its factors, and yeah, this is how you do it. And you cannot factorize it further, right? Can you?
No.
Okay. Which of the following are the factors of 56a to the 5 plus 21a, right? So first thing is to see if, yeah, we'll be having a. All of these have a, so at the moment all of them can be the choices, but this cannot be because it says a and this is a to the 5. So this cannot be a choice, right? And we need to see what terms we can take common. So we have 21, right? So this cannot be an option again. Similarly, if we look at the third one, 3 into 18 is not 56, okay? So this cannot be the choice. What is 7 into 8? 7 into 8 is 56, but we have this a here. So this cannot be the option, right? So this would be the answer. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Isolating variables using fractions. It may be necessary to use factoring in order to isolate a variable in an equation. Now we have ax minus c and bx plus d. What is x in terms of a, b, c, d? Okay, this is what we have to do. Right, now we'll be using factoring. We'll be factorizing basically in order to make x the subject. We have bx here, we'll take it to this side, we'll be left with c plus d on the right side. Here we'll be taking x common in order to isolate it, right? So a minus b would be left and we will be dividing it on the other side. So this is x. So here we have used, we made factors, we factorized this expression by taking x common in order to make x the subject of the equation. Okay. If bx plus 3x equals 6x minus dx, what does 6 equal in terms of a, b, c, d? Okay. So again, bx, this would go to the left hand side and it would be dx. 6a minus 3c. X is common, so we have b plus d. Mm, 3c, this would come here. dc would go there. Yeah, this is 3c and they have taken 5c. This is the answer, or this is 3c basically, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about quadratic trinomials. A quadratic trinomial contains an x square term as well as an x term. For example, x square minus 6x plus 8 is a quadratic trinomial. You can factor quadratic trinomials by using FOIL method in reverse. Okay, we don't understand this shit. Let's just um, start off with the example, right? Start by looking at the last term in the trinomial. It is 8. Okay, exactly. This is what we already know. Now we need to know two integers which would be multiplied. So we'll be getting, we need two integers such that when we multiply them, we get 8x squared. And when we add subtract them, we get minus 6x. So the two integers in our case are these. This is how we choose. Now we have minus 2 and minus 4. Right. Next, look at the middle term of the trinomial, minus xx. Choose two factors from the above list. Yeah, minus 6. Now write the factors using minus 2 and minus 4. Okay, so you can write down this term this way directly. The two factors were -2 and -4. So you can write it directly. 6 minus 2 into x minus 4. And if you multiply it, you will get x square. X would be multiplied by x, then x would be multiplied by -4. It would be minus 4x plus, we'll have minus 2x plus 8. This is x square minus 6x plus 8. Okay, certainly. So this is how you can do it directly. Once you have your two numbers, such that when you multiply them, you get 8x square, and when you add subtract them, you get minus 6x. You can write it down directly like this. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. Which of the following are the correct factors of? Now we have z square minus 6z plus 9. All we need to know is we need two numbers such that when we multiply them, we get 9z square. So the two numbers are minus 3 and minus 3. And yeah, and when we'll add them, we'll get minus 6z. So this is not the answer. This is the answer, right? Because we can write it down directly as z minus 3 and z minus 3. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fractions with variables. You can work with fractions with variables the same as you would work with fractions without variables. Okay. So we have x by 6 minus x by 12, and you need to simplify it in such a way that you are left with single fraction. So how we do it usually, when we just have simple fractions with numbers, we take LCM, right? Here LCM is written as lowest common denominator. So least common, yeah. So let's do it. We have 6 and 12. It's basically the LCM. LCM of 6 and 12 is 12. So we'll have x by 6 minus x by 12. This is equal to 12. Now 6 into 2 is 12, and x into 2 minus into 1 into 1 x. So we have x by 12. So this is how we do fractions without variables as well. Okay, so the method is same. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you do this one?
It's 9x over 40.
Very good. Okay. Now we have reciprocal rules. There are special rules for the sum and difference of reciprocals. The following formulas can be memorized for the SAT to save time when answering questions about reciprocals. Okay. Now we have 1 by x plus y, and you need to make it look like a single fraction, right? So we will have 1 plus x would be the LCM, and you will have 1 plus xy. So if x and y are not 0, then 1 by x plus y is x plus y divided by xy. Okay. There are special rules for the sum and difference of reciprocals. The following formulas can be memorized for the SAT to save time when answering questions about reciprocals. Right. So the difference in this one and this one here is that here we have y and here we have 1 by y. There's a plus sign and there's a minus sign. So plus, when we have plus, we have plus here. When we have minus here. Let's do this one. We'll have x, y. So we need to multiply y, we need to multiply y minus, and we would get x. Okay, perfect. Right. This, I think there's a mistake in this one, because if I take x as the LCM, x would come as it is, and this should have been xy. If I have y here, this would be 1. They have divided y on both sides. That's the done. There's a mistake over here, definitely. Let me try it once again. Okay, so we have 1 by x plus y, and this is basically, I can take x as LCM, so I'll have 1 plus xy. Yeah. Now here, if I multiply y in the numerator and denominator, yeah, there's a mistake in this one. Definitely there's a mistake in this one. I'll write the correct form over here. Okay. So this would be simply x 1 plus xy, right? So you can remember these two forms directly. If you have 1 by x minus 1 by y, it would be y minus x over xy. And if you have 1 by x plus y, you'll have this. But honestly speaking, I would advise you not, try not to memorize things. Okay. Yes, some things are important, like the decimal conversions and things like those, but they would never ever give you such simple questions. You'll have to play with difficult numbers. So in those cases, this would not work, right? So I would advise you not to learn such small things, like, we had this FOIL method. So I did not even mention the method's name once, because we already know how to simplify these things, right? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, when will we use these reciprocal rules, yes, sum and difference wale? Like, will they directly tell us to find out the reciprocal of
Yeah,
like?
these ones, the ones we are discussing at the moment. Okay, I've planned some questions, and you'll know how when we'll be applying them, right? So don't worry about that.
And whatever is written over here, is it correct? Because I noted it down. So
Yeah. Everything is correct. Everything is correct. Whenever I'm seeing a mistake, I'm telling you. This is basically a Tech website. I have practiced all the OA level questions from here. So at times books can have error. That's completely okay. So हम सब कुछ पढ़ रहे हैं, कुछ भी issue होता है, I'm telling you there, right? So it's
okay,
completely normal. Don't worry about this.
okay. Then can you explain these again?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll explain this again, definitely. Okay, let me just erase this part. Okay, there are special rules for the sum and difference of reciprocals, right? So basically here, this is the reciprocal, and in this case, these two are the reciprocals, right? Reciprocal of x is 1 by x and reciprocal of y is 1 by y. We already know what reciprocal is, right? This is not equal to, this is the reciprocal, right? Okay, we know what reciprocals are, right? Is it the case?
So,
Here they are being added and here they are being subtracted. Okay, so there are special rules for sum and difference of reciprocals. The following formulas can be memorized for the SAT to save time when answering questions about reciprocals. Now they are saying if x and y are not zero, then. Now just give me a second, just give me a second. Let me just try doing it this way. Maybe they wanted to do it this way. Yeah, definitely. Y plus x. Okay. So the only mistake here is they have missed this. That's it. Otherwise, it's correct. Okay. So we have two reciprocals, 1 by x and 1 by y, two reciprocals. In the first part, they're being added. In the second part, they're being subtracted. In order to make it look like one fraction, in order to convert it into a single fraction, this is the method which we are doing, right? We take LCM and then we multiply y and x, and this is how we do it. But they are saying if we have two reciprocals like these, you can directly memorize this in order to save time. So the question could be either you'll be asked to convert these two fractions into one, simplify the expression, something of that sort. So in those types of questions, you'll be applying this, okay? So let's say if we had 3 by x plus a by y, ठीक है? इसको अब अगर हमने ये मेथड याद किया हो कि जो डिनोमिनेटर से वो मल्टीप्लाई हो रहे हैं, तो उनको हमने डायरेक्टली जो है वो मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया है एक्स वाई को, ठीक है? और अब अगर हम यही मेथड अप्लाई करें तो यहाँ पे तो वो कह रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे सिंपली वाई आ जाएगा और एक्स आ जाएगा क्योंकि वी हैड वन एंड वन हियर, ठीक है? बट हमारे केस में इधर 3 भी आएगा और इधर a भी आएगा बिकॉज आवर न्यूमरेटर्स आर डिफरेंट. तो एग्जाम में इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि वो आपके न्यूमरेटर में वन हो, इट कैन बी एनीथिंग, ठीक है? इट्स जस्ट अ टिप, जिस तरह हमने बाकी टिप्स ऊपर देखी हैं याद करने के लिए. अगर इस तरह की कोई सिंपल सी आपके पास फ्रैक्शंस का सम आ रहा है और ये बेसिकली रेसिप्रोकल्स हैं, यू विल बी सिंप्लीफाइंग इट दिस वे, राइट?
yes, ma'am, I've got it.
Okay, perfect. Just read this note, okay? These rules are easy to figure out using the techniques of the last section if you are comfortable with them and don't like having too many formulas to memorize. So I personally would suggest that you should not learn too many things because you'll already have a lot to, some formulas in geometry. We'll have many things to memorize in those sections. Okay. Now we have quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is an equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Since it is an equation, we have an equality sign, okay? Where a, b, c are numbers and a is not equal to 0 because if a is 0, we would only be left with bx plus c and it would not be a quadratic equation, right? So this is the difference, and you should always know that the coefficient of x square can never be 0 because if it is 0, it would not be a quadratic equation simply. Okay. Now we have two examples. This is a quadratic equation and this is another quadratic equation, right? So this is what we already know. Right. The zero product rule. Because quadratic equations can be written as an expression equal to 0, the zero product rule is useful when solving these equations. The zero product rule states that if the product of two or more numbers is 0, then at least one of the numbers is 0. In other words, if AB is 0, then either A or B equals 0. This idea also applies when A and B are factors of an equation. Okay, when an equation equals 0, you know that one of the factors, okay, right, fine, fair enough. So if we have an expression, let's say x square plus 5x plus 1, for example, and if you factorize it, you end up getting two factors, right? This is the first factor, this is the second factor, and it is equal to 0. Now you know that either this is 0 or this is 0 or both are 0, because if you multiply 0 with a number, you get 0, right? So if this is 0, it means that either this term was 0 or this term was 0 or both are 0, because that is why you got 0. Is it clear? Okay. So here's an example. Find two possible values of x that make this equation 2. So we have, this is the first factor, this is the second one, and their product is equal to 0. Now when the product is 0, it means either this is 0 or this is 0. Okay, so either this is 0 or this is 0. If x plus 4 is 0, we'll have x equals to minus 4. And if x minus 2 is 0, we'll have x equals to 2. Okay. So here they're saying the zero product rule is useful when solving quadratic equations, because you can rewrite a quadratic equation as equal to 0 and take advantage of the fact that one of the factors of the quadratic equation is thus equal to 0. Whatever we have discussed, right? The whole thing. कि directly to find the value of x, quadratic equation में हर चीज इस एक साइड पे आ जाती है. This is the general form. ax square प्लस बी एक्स प्लस सी इक्वल 0. यहाँ पे 0 होता है. जब दो फैक्टर्स बन जाते हैं हमारे पास, यहाँ पे 0 होता है, दोनों में से कोई एक 0 की इक्वल होता है, तो इजीली हम x की वैल्यू फाइंड कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, सॉल्विंग का मतलब होता है फाइंडिंग x. ठीक है, बेसिकली व्हेन यू आर सॉल्विंग एन इक्वेशन, उसका मतलब ये होता है कि आपने जो वेरिएबल है, जो अननोन वेरिएबल है, उसकी वैल्यू फाइंड करनी है. राइट? इज इट क्लियर?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Now we have a practice question. X minus 8 and x plus 5 equals 0. So either x is 8 or x is minus 5. So A is the answer. Because either this factor is 0 or this factor is 0. So the two possible values of x are these two. Okay. Okay. Solving quadratic equations by factoring. If a quadratic equation is not equal to 0, rewrite it so that you can solve it using the product rule. Now in this case, we have x square minus 11x equals 12. This is not the general form of quadratic equation. The general form is ax square plus bx plus c equals 0. So we'll take this 12 to the side, and it would be x square minus 11x minus 12 equals 0. And now we can factorize it this way. So when two factors are equal to 0, either this would be 0 or this would be 0, right? So this is x equals 12, and here we have x equals minus 1. You get it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Right. Now, this is again a quadratic equation, but the constant term is 0 in this case, right? So our c is 0 basically. Now to solve this, we can again use the zero product rule by factoring We can take x common. We'll be left with x plus 9. Now we have two terms that are being multiplied and are equal to 0. So either x is 0 or x plus 9 is 0. So if x is 0, then x equal to 0 could be an option. And if x plus 9 is equal to 0, then x equals to minus 9 would be the value of x, right? Okay. Now we have x square minus 20x equals 20. We need to, which of the following could be a value of x square plus 8x? Okay, so here in this case, instead of, doing it this way, like you can do it this way definitely, minus 20 equals 0. You can also just directly, plug in the values over here, like 20, you know that 20x square would be 400, and you can either do it this way, or you can just simply factorize, make the factors and then do it, right? So let's try doing it both ways. Now, if you do it this way, in this case, it would be time taking, because minus 20 and 20 are same. So, if you first you'll have to square it, you'll get 400 and you'll be multiplying it. So in this case, this method is not advisable. Let's do it by factorizing it. So we need two numbers such that when we multiply them, we get 20, minus 20, and when we add subtract them, we get minus 8. So the two options are, let's think, we have minus 10 and we have 2. So this would be minus 20 if we multiply it, and if we add it, this would be minus 8. So we have x minus 10, x minus 2x minus 20 equals 0. This is x 1 square, x minus 10, and we can take 2 as common, so it would be x minus 10 again. So the two factors would be x plus 2 and x minus 2. Now we need to solve it. This is x plus 2, x minus 10. So either x is minus 2 or x is 10. Now we are done with finding the x, right? But we need to find x square plus 8x. Okay, is it clear? So you can use minus 2 and 10 to check. If you have minus 2 minus 8 into minus 2, this would be 4 plus 16. This is 20. Yes, x equals to minus 10, minus 2 has been satisfied. And let's use x equals to 10. So we'll have 10 square minus 8 into 10. This would be 100 minus 80 equals 20. Okay, perfect. So minus 2 and 10 both can be used. So let's just plug in the values. We'll have 4 plus minus 16. So we'll be left with minus 12. But we don't have minus 12 here. Let's just use 10 here. So we'll have 100 plus 80. So this is the answer, right? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. We didn't use minus 2 because there's no minus 12 option here, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, now let's end this over here and I'll do the questions now. Wait, let me just New share. Can you see my wallpaper?
Yes,
Okay. I'll open it with paint. Okay. Yeah, can you see it now?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the question is, when 5, is it readable? Is it readable?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. When 5 times the number x is added to 10, the result is 35. Okay. So what is it? What is the English of this? What is the mathematics of the statement? When 5 times the number x, 5 times the number x is added to 10, the result is 35. What is the result when 3 times x is added to x? Okay, so we need to find 3x plus 6 equals what? But first we need to find out the x. So it would be 5x equals 25 and x is 5, right? So 3 into 5 plus 6, this would be 15 plus 6, that is 21. So this is the answer. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Are these past paper questions?
Yes, yes.
Because they're really easy. I did this mentally in like 2 seconds.
Okay, that's perfect. So what is the ratio of the minimum value to the maximum value of the following function? So can you do this one as well? Right, let's do it together because we only have 8 minutes and I need to record this for Zahib. So we have minus 2 and 3, and what is the ratio? Minimum value to maximum value. So first we need to determine the minimum value. So minimum value would be, we need to use 3 because we have a minus sign here. If I will use minus 2, it would be the maximum value. So we need to use 3. So we will have minus 9 plus 1, that is 8. Minus 8, sorry. This is the minimum value. And the maximum would be, so now clearly this and these are cancelled. These two cannot be the options. Maximum would be minus 2. Why? Because I have minus 3. The minus 2 would cancel out the negativity and we'll be left with positive number, that is 7. So this is minus 8 by 7, right? Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The questions are really easy, but you only need to manage time. That is the think. Right. Now you have this. If 8 plus 2x is 16, more than 20, what is the value of 6x? Right. So how would you do this?
First we make an equation.
Mm-hmm.
8 plus 2x equals 36.
Excellent.
And then you find for the value of x by solving this equation and then multiply the value of x with 6.
Very well done. Okay. So we'll have 28. X would be 14. And we need to multiply x into 14. So the answer would be 84. Okay. If y is nx plus 2, where n is a constant, and when x is 6, y is 14, what is the value of y when x is 10? Okay, this is a very simple question. So you need to determine n first, right? By using 6 and 14. So let's just plug in 14 and 6 in our equation. We have 14 equals 6n plus 2. This implies 14 minus 2 equals 6n. This is 12 by 6. So n is 2, right? This is the value of n. Now when x is 10, so y would be 2 into 10 plus 2, that is 22. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. 1, 2. Okay. The gx plus ax squared plus 24. For the function g defined above, a is a constant and g4 is 8. What is the value of this? Okay, so can you just tell me the answer directly? Like how would you do it? Just tell me the method.
First we'll find the value of a with the g equal g and
Mm-hmm.
with
With
the
x
g of
equals
4
4
function.
and with x
Yeah,
equals 4 and g of 4 equals, yeah, okay. But in this case, we have x square, right? We have x square. And we know that g of 4 is 8. So g of minus 4 would also be 8 because we have x square. If we have 4, x square would be 16. If we have minus 4, x square would still be 16. So this is a time saving tip. You don't have to solve such questions completely.
oh
You should know that the answer would be same because x square, we have x squared, right?
yeah, okay.
Okay. So now we have another question. If f of x minus f of x plus 1 is this, and f of 6 is 12, what is the value of f of 5? So do you know how to do this one? Any idea?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, okay. We need to find the value of 5, okay? And this is the equation. So let's write f of 5, okay, minus, when we have 5, we will have 6 here, f of 5 plus 1 equals, x is 5, right? X is 5. So it would be 2 into 5 minus 5. So we have f of 5 minus f of 6 equals, this would be 5 because this is 10 and this is minus 5. Now f of 6 is 12. So f of 5 is 5 plus 12. So the answer is 17. Do you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, okay. Now this is an expression. If x is greater than 0 and x is not equal to 3, because if x is 3, this would be 0 and that is not possible. It would be an undefined form. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? Okay. Now you need to simplify this. Okay, we have discussed such questions. And yes, Ishal, this is where you can apply that that reciprocal thing we have discussed, right? We had x, y here. So this is how you can apply that. You asked me कि वो कहाँ apply होगा. तो वो इस तरह के expressions में apply हो सकता है कि 1 by, अब जो यहाँ पे वो चीज लिखी हुई थी आप वो डायरेक्टली यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं x minus 3 x plus 4. यहाँ पे we'll have x plus 4 plus x minus 3. Now obviously उधर तो उन्होंने x y दो जनरल टर्म्स बताई थी ना. यहाँ पे हमारे पास x की जगह x minus 3 है और y की जगह x plus 4 है. ठीक है, समझ आ गई ये बात?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Let's just simplify it. So we'll have x minus 3 into x plus 4 divided by 2x plus 1. ठीक है, तो ऑब्वियसली इसमें से हमें क्लियरली नजर आ रहा है कि ये आंसर है बिकॉज दिस इज द ओनली डिनोमिनेटर वी हैव. इसी में हमारे पास ये डिनोमिनेटर आ रहा है. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कोई डिनोमिनेटर नहीं है, यहाँ पे भी कोई डिनोमिनेटर नहीं है और इधर तो ये उल्टा लिखा हुआ है कि दिस इज द आंसर. डू यू गेट इट?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are done with this. Any questions?
Yeah, I wanted